Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is an action role-playing first-person shooter video game developed by Gearbox Software and published by 2K Games. It is a spin-off in the Borderlands series and a successor to Borderlands.Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. The game is set to be released for Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and Series S in March 2022.
There is a world beyond the Borderlands. A world forged by wonder and ruled by fate. There's one alone who can wield fate. One alone whose story is in their own hands. The Fate Maker. That's you. Heavy, right?
Similar to its predecessors, the game is a first-person shooter with elements of an action role-playing game. The game can be played solo or with 3 other players in online or local split-screen multiplayer. The game is set directly after Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, and like that expansion, the campaign is set within the world of a fantasy-themed tabletop role-playing game. Tiny Tina will be its dungeon master and can change the game's world on the fly. In Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, players can create their own playable characters. The game features 6 different character classes, and for the first time in the series, players can mix and match these skills for their characters. The playable avatars have stats which can be upgraded using hero points. Players have a large arsenal of weapons and firearms at their disposal, and for the first time in the series, players can wield melee weapons. The game features the same procedurally generated loot system from the Borderlands series, which is capable of generating numerous combinations of weapons and other gear. Players can also cast different magical spells such as summoning meteors, or transforming enemies into sheep. The game features an overworld, which is used by the playable characters to transverse to various locations in the game. There are random combat encounters and quests that can only be completed in the overworld. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is currently being developed by Gearbox Software. According to Gearbox founder Randy Pitchford, the studio has been planning to release a fantasy spin-off of the series since the early 2010s, and it had unsuccessfully pitched several fantasy projects to publishers during the early days of the studio. The game's overworld system was inspired by Japanese role-playing games such as the Final Fantasy series. Gearbox intentionally designed 5 maps that can only be accessed through the overworld. These maps feature their own narrative threads that are also connected to the main story. Ashley Birch returned to provide her voice for Tiny Tina, while Andy Samberg, Will Arnett and Wanda Sykes will portray other main characters in the game. Despite Embracer Group's acquisition of Gearbox Software in 2020, the studio continued to partner with series publisher 2K Games. The game was officially announced by 2K on June 10, 2021. It is set to be released on March 25, 2022 for Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and Series S. The PS5 and Xbox Series X versions will include the Dragon Lord Pack downloadable content. Players who pre-ordered the game would gain access to the Golden Hero Armor Pack. Ahead of Wonderlands' release, Gearbox made the Borderlands 2 DLC Assault on Dragon Keep available as a standalone game. Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, a Wonderlands one-shot adventure, released on November 8, 2021 for Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One.